Hey, what's up everybody? Eternal Fire here, and today we're going to be talking about improving your gameplay and awareness with the add-ons that you use. In this video, we'll discuss the benefit of having important data like health bars and cooldowns in a more central part of your screen to improve awareness. We'll also be talking about useful add-ons to aid you while you play to customize your UI or optimize time and cooldowns on boss fights. With that said, let's get right into it. The first add-on that you're going to want to make sure that you have is a boss encounter add-on, and that's going to be deadly boss mods or bigwigs. So I use deadly boss mods, and so what you're going to want to do is type /dbm, and it's going to automatically bring you to bosses. You're going to click options, bar setup. You can go down here and change the size of them to whatever you prefer, and then I'm going to pop them up here, and as you can see here, it'll pop up over here the different boss abilities when they're kind of far out. So I can see in the corner of my eye that they're coming up, but I don't have to worry about them just yet. When the boss, ability is imminent, it's, in the next 10 seconds or so, it's going to pop up right over my character's head. And I made it nice and big so I can see it very easily. And this is very important to not missing when to taunt, when to use a healing cooldown for some big ability like on the Sisters Fight the Eclipse for healers, when that needs to be executed. And these things are customizable. You can choose to not have all of the boss encounter abilities on the screen, but you can certainly have the ones that are pertaining to your class or your role. And so that way I like to have it right above my character's head, and it makes it very easy to see and be able to time when things happen. Moving on, we're going to take a look at the interface. So the main question I get in this game is my UI. You see I have my health bar here, my enemy's health bar right there, and the reason I have such a large gap is because I have my weak auras right here. So that's something we'll get into later, but we're going to discuss how to do the UI. So this is the main question I get in the comment section is how do I get your UI? How do I get your UI? Well, I do have a video. It's a little old at this point, but it's still very pertinent to LVUI. So what we're going to do is if once you download LVUI, you can just simply go to the options menu in game, hit LVUI, and then the big thing that people want to know about is how to move stuff around. So this is how you do it. You can take your raid frames, you can move them in between here. And when I'm healing, this is where I have, when I'm healing my raid frames, I put them right in between my player frame and my target frame. So that way it's very central and I can be healing the raid and I don't have to, move my eyes constantly, constantly be moving my eyes over here or just watching my eyes, and then my eyes are off my character, right? So if I need to be avoiding standing in something or I need to be focused on soaking something, my eyes are over here to the left or down here, wherever. I'm going to very easily stand and fire, basically. But if you have your UI set up right here, right, and then as you can see your full character, you can see the ground. Your eyes are going to be right around here, but you can easily see everything is in a very central position, so you can see effectively what's going on. When I'm tanking, I do tend to move this over here because it's not nearly as pertinent. As it is for a healer. And right here, this is the same thing for party frames when I'm healing. I have it right in between the two. I place it right there like you saw in the intro with the shaman. That's where I had my healing frames. But when I'm tanking, I'll move them over here so I can see them, but it's not nearly as pertinent. And that's just something you can customize depending on how you're playing. So this is the real big page that I think a lot of people want to know about when they're choosing LVUI, is because they don't want their player frames up here in the top left with the target frame in the top left as well. They want to be able to move it down here. So if you want, I can paste bin my LVUI profile so you can have it exactly how I have it set up. Just let me know and I will send it to you. But that is basically how I have that set up and why. So it's really important for a healer to have their healing frames in a very central location so you can see your character and you can see where you need to move, what you need to get out of, while keeping an eye on your healing bars at all times. The same goes for the party frames. So that is the big thing with moving your characters. And same reason we have the player frame unit frame and the target unit frame right there, is so I can be, again, keeping my eyes on my character, the central area of the screen where stuff is going to be going on that is pertinent to you. You can see your cooldown, your bars right here, and that is pretty much all there is to it. And then the other thing is weak auras. So weak auras are a really huge part of being successful. You can do this, play this game without them, but you will find if you try them out that your life is going to be so much easier. And a perfect example is using this for, my protection warrior. I have my shield block up right here in between this. So if I need to know when shield block is up, you never ever have to look up in the top right to see that. And you can actually move that if you want to, but you never have to see you don't have to be constantly looking all the way down at your action bars to see if a cooldown's up. Sometimes things get moved around. You don't want to have to find stuff when you need it immediately. You can have all of your, not to mention you have potions here, you have mounts, you have whatever random stuff you decide to throw on your bars. I have markers here. You can have all of your important cooldowns right below there. My ignore pain, my rage, and then things that I need to know is how much time do I have left on shield block? Is shield slam procced? And it's all right there in the center of my screen. So when you're doing a dungeon like with volcanic, you don't want to have to be looking down only to look back up and realize you're standing in a volcano. Now it's too late. The same thing goes with the healers and the healing frames. So there's a lot of different weak auras you can get. And as far as just improving your gameplay, there's a lot of weak auras that I would highly recommend getting. Let's see if I can find it easily. Yeah, TOS weak auras. So right here, this is an example of, let's say, the maiden fight. When you are fell, it'll just have a weak aura up here saying, hey, by the way, you're fell. And the same thing with, the holy aura that you'll get in that fight. And then when she's changing the auras, it'll pop up with a weak aura saying, hey, by the way, I'm changing. And having something like that is just so crucial. And then the sisters fight right here. You're the light side, you're on the dark side, whatever. It'll show you your stacks. And here we go, the light side, fell side, and then changing. So, you can just get cluster add-ons like that, and it really, really helps. So, weak auras are a really huge deal. Whether you are just customizing where you can visualize your cooldowns to make you be able to perform your rotation, your cooldowns, your mitigation, your healing stuff. You can just optimize it the best that you possibly can. And then as far as boss fights go, having those weak auras tell you like, hey, listen, the aura is changing, to pay attention to it, so you're not that guy who's got the fell aura on the maiden fight standing with the holy pack and you're not paying attention. Not to mention everything is more centralized to the center of your screen, so you can more easily visualize your character's buff or your debuff, and you can now react because of that. You're not looking over here at the left side at healing bars, you're not looking down here to make sure you have your rotation correct, and that is just so critically important. So those are in my opinion the most important add-ons. Having something to change your UI, having a boss encounter add-on, and having weak auras. And finally, one last add-on that I would highly recommend having as a damage meter, and we'll call it just a damage meter in general, is details. So you have recount, SCADA, and details. And of the three, I believe that details is by far the best add-on to be using. And the reason being is all of them can look up a lot of things, but this goes into a lot more detail. So you can see here I have it split between the two, and they make it very simple to split them both. So I have two windows that are linked together, so I can move them around together, C1 and 2. And then I have DPS and HPS. So that's typically what I have open, but you can also look at different things. You can look at different information. So for damage, you have damage done, DPS, damage taken, auras and void zones, damage taken by spell. So a lot of different things there. With heals, you have HPS, healing done, overhealing, heal absorbed, and stuff like that. And then resources, you can keep track of that. And then miscellaneous, you also have just, buff uptime, interrupts, dispels, res. So you can, especially if you're leading a group, you can easily keep track of everything, even down to who pre-potted, who didn't pre-pot, who's not using flasks or food, and stuff like that. So it's just one of those add-ons that you just cannot go without. There are so many avenues of customization you can use. You can pull up different fights. It does take a little while to get used to setting it up, will be something that you need to, sit down and dedicate a little bit of time to doing. But once you get details set up and you're happy with your setup, it is just so fluid and easy to use. I think it's the most accurate timer as well. So being able to keep track of those things all throughout your time doing gameplay will only help you get better if you actually keep track of, well, how much damage did I take from this or that or the other thing? How can I prevent that moving forward? So I highly recommend getting details. It's a great DPS add-on, and again, DPS as a general term. But so anyway, using LVUI, using weakauras, using a boss encounter, aka DBM or bigwigs, and then using details. In my opinion, those are the core add-ons that you should have. And don't forget to check the link in the description. I'll have a link to all of those add-ons that you can download if you're missing one or two or three or all of them. So I hope somebody found this video helpful. If you did, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.